CNED, I think it's going to make this attack more deadly than it was before.
Yeah, I think you might be spot on that one, Tom. The attack already taking place, and it's going to be a pretty quick one as they just bomb out towards this A site, getting themselves a bunch of control, and it looks like they don't want to stop there. It's kills the Raptor. They want to draw blood, but Gambit are quick to respond and take a double. As the man advantage swings comfortably in their favor, Gambit don't need to rush on in, and in fact, as they just stand still and hold their positions, ACEND run into them, giving them all the kills and what should be a comfortable retake, as it's only CNED and Killaz left to deal with.
Player standing.
Oh, I thought for a second that might come back to bite you, because you did just use the phrase only CNED, which has never been uttered before in the entirety of this broadcast. But you are correct this time. So it is just going to be the diffusal coming through from Gambit. They had a pretty decent setup coming through, but I don't necessarily dislike the idea from ACEND. I think one of the problems that you have in a lot of rounds, especially on that A site, is you get too locked into the site, you give too much space over to your opponents, and they're able to do well in the retake. So they try and garner a little bit of extra control, but it definitely seemed like Gambit were ready for that.
Oh, it definitely did. It was tangible, really, in that round. And now, as we move on, it's going to be 1-0 to Gambit, giving them a comfortable second round, one would hope. But realistically for ACEND, this is going to be about maximizing potential. They've even pulled a Marshal out to try and deal damage and make sure that Gambit aren't going to be running away with a comfortable economy or even a second round forced by it. Very slow approach by them as well, right? They're spreading into default. Sometimes you'll see these pistols start to really blitz forward towards the site, whereas with that Marshal, they want to try and work some ranged picks, force out some duels, and Defo is in a lot of trouble to split through market, takes him down immediately, and Shados now has to hold on to this site. He's got a teammate here to help him, but this is where the pistols are the most dangerous.
I really enjoy this wall coming through. It gives positioning over to try and give them extra space to get back into the site, but also section 6 off. It might not play any part at all, however, because it looks like it's almost funneling them into CNED with that Marshal. This wasn't even that heavy an investment. Now they've picked up a Guardian, if anything, having the most valuable weapon currently in play. And for Gambit, I almost wonder if it's just worth trying to farm up some extra ultimate points. Unfortunately, the two players alive, they don't have the greatest of ults.
No, they don't really. You wouldn't be farming up ult points, really. More so just dropping those weapons right now that ACEND have retrieved so many and pretty much of a guaranteed round win. See if Gambit can at least make it costly on ACEND's eco round. This is pretty much as bad as it gets. And they're only going to get away with the 2 kills. So that is a stellar comeback from ACEND after losing the pistol.
Not quite. I thought maybe the spike would do the job for them, but yeah, I'm surprised they get away with anywhere near as much. The fact that it seems so easy for them to just isolate Defo with the split coming through onto B, like it's such a common strategy to go for that sort of aggressive split. I'm a little bit surprised that Gambit get caught off with it. I also think going into this series in general, like, there are a few maps here, like if you look at Haven and Bind, where I put them firmly in the favor of ACEND. I think their Bind has been incredible against everyone they've played, and I think that Haven is a map that Gambit, I think there's been interviews in the past where they just say it's just a mess for us. Like, we find it very, very difficult to play. So then you look at maps like this, and I almost want to see, like, maybe not a dominant performance, but a strong victory from Gambit if they're going to have a chance in this series. Because last time, well, it didn't go exactly according to plan on any map other than this one.
Oh, Nats. He's got the sneaky position, but they check it. I thought that was going to be a dropped rifle, and hell, if you give Nats a Guardian, maybe he can do a lot with it, but instead it's going to be a very clean third round out of ACEND. They lose the pistol round in dominant fashion, and they have just bounced back so spectacularly ever since. It was that Marshal in the hands of CNED. I mean, we knew once this man gets the scope out, he can be dangerous, but we kind of thought it would be the operator where things started to spiral, and yet already he's showing that he's here to play today.
This is where we at least get a response from Gambit, but yeah, as you sort of mentioned, like the fact that they've been able to win that scenario, it puts the ACEND in an amazing spot financially, and even going into this round, like it's not that weak a purchase. Like, in fact, the only player with anything missing is actually going to be CNED. It's just going to be on the SMG for this round. It's not going to be also your favorite weapon of choice coming into play just yet. So although they hit the scan, the chance for any sort of wall bangs not really going to get too much. Redgar's got to be careful here, because he's going to get spotted out by the drone. He's in a very open position. I feel like Defo's just trying to almost cover him off, but with the smoke taking a lot of control, it becomes a little bit tougher.
With a minute left on the clock, it's decision time really for ACEND. I spotted out the operator, but it doesn't get anything. Defo's kind of been inconsistent when it comes to that op, I have to say. For a player that I definitely hype up and have seen a bunch from in the past, at least at this stage of the tournament, he hasn't really impressed me on the op. And, well, CNED's going to be dropped. Opera on the other side, dealt with immediately. Redgar keeps on going. And with 4 HP, he doesn't escape. Zeke just catching him as he rounds the corner. 3 versus 3. Numbers evened up. ACEND putting some focus on the B side, but it is a fake. They're playing themselves, but unknowingly. As Bone Cold sees the side is completely clear, that Spike wants to then start moving. Oh no! Goes through the smoke. And there's a trap wire here as well. Zeke gonna be fading back and moving to the A side, where you've got to fight with Starzo losing it as well. Both wings that they tried to fight on, they lose, leaving Zeke in a very tough position to pull this back. He has to deal with sapphiRe on the site. He's gonna try to just plant it. Time was too low, but Nats is easily able to take him down and equalize things up.
Yeah, I feel like maybe ACEND overthought that one just a little bit. Like, especially if your plan is to individually try and face off against Nats, I feel like your plan's not a particularly good one. Because this man, I would say that he's the king of positioning. I think that's what I'm going to give him in this tournament so far. Like, the amount of times where I see him take a duel where I'm like, that duel was not fair. Like, you have put yourself in a spot where the other player has to do something incredible to be able to find the picks. And yeah, he made the isolation of those fights look incredibly easy. Still a costly round though. And as said, even though it wasn't a bonus, really, it technically was in terms of the finances of ACEND. They had so much cash that now they come in with an operator on CNED instead.
This is where things can get dangerous, though. You've got an Ares in play for Chronicle, but also the Judge over on short. And Redgar is able to take down Zeke with it. CNED has to be cautious. Push. This is a Judge. He's got a Judge on the other side, and he's rushing him down with an op. What is this guy? He doesn't even dash out of there afterwards. That is the craziest decision-making I've ever seen. And of course it works out, because it's CNED.
I don't know if there's any other player in the world who would have done that. I genuinely don't know. They're actually going to wall up over by the looks of things. 45 seconds left. They've got the drone trying to clear out. As said, you're looking to push into Nat's domain, which is always going to be risky. His lair is one that's very difficult to try and get through. Shados is there to cover as well. Shock Dart trying to clear underneath, but they actually stop watching. Luckily, there's the Ares on Chronicle, which is able to find one. And again, this man, as said, he finds the timing, he finds the positioning in almost every single spot. It's left onto CNED. So many players try and keep an eye on, and Chronicle will wrap around to close it out.
Yeah, pushing into Nats' side just isn't a good idea. And, you know, this is the problem when he's playing a sapphiRe as well. You talk about him being the king of positioning, but he's also got those cages to give him extra cover to play behind. It opens up a world of possibilities for him to play with. It's just impossible to push into. I still can't get over this. The fact that... because you can make the argument that the shrouded step across short, he heard that, so he knew. But no, he was pushing that before that happened. Like, he was happy to take a fight with a Judge in a corner, holding him, pushing out of the smoke, and he is an op, and he's like, yep, that's a favorable fight for me. Just CNED thinks, oh, the smoke has done him. Oh! Redgar out and 10 HP on Nats. What a start for ACEND in this round. CNED hasn't even got a weapon, but that Blade Storm already coming in huge for ACEND.
They're going to use the TP to get into the back of the site as well. Of course, a little bit of information gathered up by the cam. It's in the same spot almost every single time. It gives a avenue to watch into main and also spot onto short. It's quite a good one. It's one you can definitely try and steal for your matchmaking games. For now, though, it's going to have to be a full-on retake. Now, Gambit are normally pretty good in these positions. The problem is they don't have their trusty Odin to clear out a lot of those under spots that they need to try and find. The wall down is also going to delay them, and CNED still has a Blade Storm.
That's the most concerning thing. As this wall starts to break, Starzo just pops down as slow. That's going to be all of the halting utility used up. But even still, The time is so low for Gambit at this point. I feel like a save is pretty much the only option, and weapons are being dropped. CNED gets inside the smoke. Of course he does. Now the Blade Storm back out, and up close, Shados will deal with him. Still little consolation for Gambit losing so many weapons, and in fact, I noticed Bone Cold is pushing them down in the spawn. He's rushing them all the way down as the mid-fight goes to kill as Bone Cold's about to ride. Well, he got killed by the spike, so never mind. He was about to have the kill on the Shados, and because he dies, an operator is saved over. So what is kind of a little funny thing, him dying down to the spike, ends up costing quite a bit and giving Gambit a good opportunity to fight into this round.
Yeah, this is where we can still see them break back. I think they'll be a little bit frustrated. It's just so filthy. Even the second time around, it's just as disgusting as the first one. But yeah, now we get to see that trusty Odin in play, which, as we sort of mentioned when we saw in the game the other day, that was one of the major factors when it came to that B-site defense, how much Chronicle was actually able to do. And also, Defo's still got his operators. Now, as you said, he's yet to come into this game just yet. I do think this is his map. If he was going to beat CNED out in this series, this is the map that I'd gamble on him doing it.
Well, let's see. His op shots have been hit or miss so far, and this time it's a hit right away. Zeke is going to be rezzed up at the wall, going down. Instantly allows Defo to get in there for the punish. ACEND looking for the B side, and with practically no choice, their back being held, their front though, they run right into Nats. He's spraying them down through smokes, and Odin waiting on the site. This is the worst possible scenario for ACEND. Even the From the Shadows committed to allow that rotate from Redgar, who's now on the back side, eliminating Starzo. Every single piece of the puzzle is coming together for Gambit here as they get away with a flawless round to take the lead back.
Yeah, that was a really nice hold from them. And a few pieces of interplay as well. I think like breaking the wall, giving the opportunity for the operator to actually do that extra bit of damage. Quick rotations to get in before any real space could be taken by ACEND. And then they kind of get a little bit stuck in the mud. So a good round from Gambit, but one that I don't know how. This is the thing. I always find with the B site, I felt like a lot of teams almost use it as a little bit of a palate cleanser. Like, I think it's the tougher of the two sides to break in. I think a lot of the time teams will play A site retake, which I think ACEND are going to be more than happy to try and battle against. And I think A is probably going to be the more favored unless they can get some real mid control, which, as we saw in the last round, was something that Defo is going to be actively battling for. In this one, at least, it's a little bit more of a passive position, and this allows a lot of space to be taken by Bone Cold, but it is something that they are more than aware of. Okay, that's a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, we had the tripwire broken by Killaz's shock dart right at the start to allow Bone Cold to try and creep up through mid. But the good reaction by Gambit, instantly realizing that map control is no longer theirs. Doors closed, start to watch their spawn. They're doing everything right at the start of this round. Not over-facing into duels is the most important thing up against these pistols. Now, once again, it looks like we're going to have the challenge from ACEND towards Nats. It hasn't gone well so far, and it doesn't look like it's going to go any better this time around. Nats on for 4. Gorgeous work by this guy. He is unbelievable.
Oh, well.
Yeah, it's just perfect. Just uses all of his cages to isolate Jaws. There was no point where there was like a couple of players being able to find a battle versus him. And I think this is what makes this map so good for them. Is, as said, a lot of the time you play retake A, you kind of give up a lot of control here. And they are doing that. I don't want to sit here and say like, oh yeah, no, they're actually stacking up the A side. No, they're just leaving one man here. But for Gambit, that's enough, because Nats is just so good that one man can hold this site on his own. Like, that's slightly ridiculous.
Those cages are amazing, not just for blocking sight, but also because they stop anybody from even making it to generator without him knowing it. Like, where Defo is right now, they cannot get to unless they walk through the cage, and then he knows, okay, I have to be ready for someone to come around. The thing about Nats is he cannot be surprised. You walk into his site, you take fights on his ground, on his terms. The cam is disgusting. And it's the thing, Nats A, Nats is A, go B. No, Nats is now B. He's rotating up these positions, and they have no reason to suspect the camera's going to be there. Uncle checks it eventually, but it takes a long time, and they've spotted him out. They know that he's here for quite a while, but they're just tucked in positions because they've got a 2-man advantage at this point. There is no need to overextend into fights, and that's another thing that Gambit do better than I think most teams in Europe and in EMEA as well, is that they do not, when they take advantages, it is very rare to see them take a disadvantageous fight to give it back to their opponents. They maximize the win percentage in pretty much every round.
Oh, that's a really nice boost up from Starzo. Prepared for there to be a player. Of course, after spamming through the wall, it made it a little bit obvious, but he's giving them a way back into this round, almost trying to sell a fake. Are they going to predict this from Redgar, though? Like, this angle's just dirty. Like, who even plays here? Who even thinks to play here? It's just such a weird position that, okay, he's only going to get one, but nobody really expecting that spot. Drone. He's actually just going to avoid it completely. And, well, this almost becomes impossible! Even killing off the flanker! That was such a good shot from Defo, and leaves just killers alone. He's managed to get himself an afterplant. He does have a Hunter's Fury, but now in a 1 versus 3, that ultimate, he needs some kills before he can even think to use it, and it's only going to be the trade.
I'm going to need a replay of that. I don't know what just happened. I felt like I genuinely thought we'd switched perspectives to a different player. That was so quick. My God. I'm saving the Odin. Good man, Shadow.
Spot him. Is that what happened? Because for him to just, like, have that first fuel and then just go, he is behind me, isn't he? It's like Ryan on the desk. Guys, that's what we've just witnessed. He's behind me, isn't he? Because that was such a... someone on his team must have seen something, because otherwise... I think this man is Spider-Man. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, maybe just about made a step or something. I mean, I don't know. I didn't manage to catch it in the moment, which just speaks to the reaction time of Defo. My God. I said his ops have been hit or miss. Well, they're certainly tending towards...
all ops hit or miss.
I guess he never misses. Yeah? Sorry. 6-3. Things are looking really good for Gambit, and now they're just up against pistols. It looks like we're going to have a tough enough A-hold here, actually, because you're going to have Defo in the ult. Finds one kill, right? Ooh, doesn't even. And now there's a lot of pressure on Redgar. He's isolated up close. Those flashes, they don't push out on them, so Redgar is going to be able to see them as they come on through, and in comes the Odin to save the day, eliminating Bone Cold. Defo with his ultimate popping off on another, and 7-3 we go. I thought that was going to be a tough round. I think everything went well for ACEND right at the start, but they stalled it a little bit too much and allowed Gambit to rotate in to help Redgar.
Yeah, I think as well, it's just that Redgar's positioning throughout this map so far, he's been in a different spot every single time, and they haven't been prepared for wherever he has been. This is, again, the thing about the defense coming out from Gambit is it's not like they're just sticking to one thing. Like, they had Chronicle over to try and actually hold off onto short. They had players already up deep within the site, which is something they've not been doing. Like, it's impossible for ACEND to actually try and gamble or make a read on what they're doing because it's different every single round. So, yeah, props to Gambit. This has been fantastic so far. But as said, on this map in particular, this is exactly what I want to be seeing if I think they're going to compete in this series.
Oh, that's really good by ACEND. Here they walk short, take a wide peek together so they can trade the off. Granted, they don't get him, but then the paranoia forces him all the way back. A passive A-hold has to be taken, but the rotates have already come in, and ACEND might not gamble on that with 4 players already in position to hold this down. Short is under their control, and the problem with that is that's where the spike is. I mean, if Starzo wants to cross right now, he doesn't have his wall to do it. And there's not even a flash for Zeke to come over and help. In fact, there's not even Zeke anymore. He gets taken out immediately. CNED's going to try to rotate in to help out. And there's just too many players here. I mean, you're going to have a godlike performance to deal with these guys. The first is a spam to Nats that puts him on 50 HP. And then there's the smoke. The cloud burst allowing the cross. They'll get to the site. CNED stays aggressive, though. It's so unpredictable, and that's why it works. 3 kills already. The door broken. Immediately down goes the Hunter's Fury. It's not going to buy enough time, though. Really, you needed a tag out of this, and that's not going to happen either. The plant was faked out to push Shadows forward, and CNED isolates him. Shock Dart's not going to land. Recon will reveal. That's a kill for sure, but the trade immediately from CNED and Ace from this man. There's just nothing he can't do.
Last round before the switch.
You can't. That's just a round you just forget. There's nothing you can do in this scenario. Like half the time, the positioning from Gambit is not even bad. They're just ready. They're waiting. They're trying to find these players, and then CNED's just like bursting through and just finding instant headshots. Truly unbelievable. Like, we always talk about his operator play. This is the man when he doesn't have one.
Get out of my way.
It is incredibly scary playing against this guy. Look at the fast push by CNED. The wall up. Allows a little bit of extra mid control to go towards Gambit's side, but It's not even the mid control that matters. They're shutting down the B push, completely dominating B main and leaving ACEND with a pretty rough spot. They're watching the smoke. They know that this is a possibility. The only real issue would have been if they walked towards spawn, and even then Defo was there. Bone Cold walking up into Shados. Good kill. But a 2 versus 4 even after that, and the spike is down outside of B main.
There's a lot of map control currently available for Gambit. Like, there's a cam currently watching. If anybody was to try and peek this angle, is it something that's even going to be spotted? Oh no! Oh, he gets stuck, but he still manages to get out of the drone and get the kill onto Nats.
Player standing.
They're actually letting this one slip a little bit, but thankfully they get rid of Bone Cold. Now it's left all onto Killers. Again, he's still got this Hunter's Fury. There's not really been a time to use it. And again, in a spot where he's in a 1 versus 3, all it will really do is give away his position. So we're looking to see if he can find anything here.
30 seconds.
As the opportunity as Chronicle falls, the quick peek by Defo secures the round. It is 8-4. Yet again, a great defensive side on the board for Gambit. We knew that this was going to be a challenge for ACEND on the attack, but now Gambit go to the side where historically they have just struggled, and it's not a map dependent thing, but they said it themselves. Sometimes their attack sides really let them down, and Tom, there's a big concern for me because now you're on an attack side versus CNED.
Yeah, for sure. That is definitely where things just do get a little bit more difficult. They're not pushing into Nats' setup so much anymore. It's always been on every single map their weaker side of the two. And as said, I said at the beginning, I think this is going to be a defensive-sided map for both squads, because if they can get that in for CNED fairly early, he can definitely start taking a lot of map control away from Gambit, which versus a lesser operator player, which I will say is pretty much all operator players. Maybe Izzy's put himself in the bracket, actually been able to compete with him, but you're going to have to try and play a little bit differently than you would against some other teams. Now, saying that, if Gambit actually win themselves the pistol here, they are in an incredibly good spot. We could be looking at them needing to get 3 rounds on their map choice, or 3 buy rounds on their map choice, which is something I would still gamble on them being able to do. So we'll see how this one goes, if we can see ACEND get off to a good start. And interestingly, after all the times we've seen Gambit take a tactical pause going into the pistol, this time ACEND have stolen their strat.
Just looking at the timeline as well, Tom, in the previous half, if ACEND didn't win that eco, whew, this would be a sure thing for Gambit already.
Yeah, you have the ace from CNED as well.
Indeed, yeah. Not a lot of their rounds were repeatable. We'll put it that way. Going to be a pretty tough one for Gambit to accept if they end up losing this, but let's see how things go. The pistol starts out, attack side for Gambit. Ooh, okay. They somehow managed to trade that back fairly evenly with Shados left on 1 HP, but he can heal back up. They've dealt with CNED. They've got the B side, and here comes the plant. That's a fantastic start for Gambit.
Yeah, this was the leave CNED to kill everyone and hold B on his own strat. It's not exactly gone to plan. Quick trades going back and forth, though, and now Zeke can get right back up to a healthy HP. Still, though, they've got to try and break down the remaining players sat within this site. The push looking to come through, and some close angles being taken. They're actually going to try and isolate the Jules. Starzo just does that, and Defo, he's just not connecting the shots. It's left all onto this man once again in the clutch, and well, in a pistol round, it's that little bit tougher. Beautiful retake coming in from ACEND, and they're going to get themselves off to a good start when it comes to their defense.
ACEND winning a lot of rounds when they've only got those pistols to play with. Now they get a little bit more, though. They'll be buying up into Spectres and all sorts. I feel like that round right there is a lifeline. It really gets them back into this game because they should be looking at 6 on the board, but we saw ACEND on this very round, on the eco, win it out versus Gambit. Surely they won't fall to the same thing. No one would hope, at least.
Well, Defo has got himself the Marshal, so we'll see. We'll see if there's going to be some recreation of the previous half. Nats doesn't really have much to play with whatsoever, investing mostly into his utility, and, well, that means he doesn't have any shields, which is fairly easy for that Marshal.
Yep, nice stuff with the first going their way. Well, oh no.
Uh-oh.
This is starting to spiral pretty quickly. On the majority of players even still alive, a body shot's going to be more than enough with that Marshal, but they drop it over. and play with the Spectre instead. The numbers are evened up, and that works perfectly for Gambit. They can group up and push a site. The only problem is, can't do that too quickly because they have to go back over and get the spike, just being left outside of B main. The Shade House is going to be able to retrieve that, but it runs the clock down, and they'll be looking at about 30 seconds as they push out to A, which for now at least is their target. Soul Holder of Bone Cold there.
The spike.
But Killas is rotating in. ACEND have zero information. This is full gamble. But they're going to have Killas towards the spawn. Just, oh, he should be watching for market here, surely. But no, they leave it completely content with Zeke solo holding B main on a Bulldog. And that leaves the B stack to come in right now.
Left. One enemy remaining.
He's done a fantastic job of delaying, just picking these players apart. I was thinking he's got his paranoia. He could slow them down if he needed to, but in fact, he's just going to win out all of those remaining duels. So ACEND will get the conversion, but it's a fairly costly one. So the buy going into this round is not going to be fantastic. And if they manage to win it, sure, a fantastic bonus round, which will pretty much set them right back into the match. But this is where you kind of expect a little bit more from Gambit. What I will say, though, is CNED's actually gone in for the rifle. So we talk about this a lot because if he can get a few kills in this round, get himself ever closer, maybe pick up an orb as well, in the next round it won't matter too much because he'll have his Blade Storm. If not, and they lose this one, it could be incredibly costly.
Deploying drone.
Well, the pressure is on. Gambit looking to take a little bit of mid control here.
Hello.
Keeping the drone nice and low. They know that there's not going to be anything to stop them as they make their way through. Market is theirs. Redgar with a great pick. And this is the thing about Gambit. Although they're showing so much pressure towards middle and basically giving away that it's a B split, they still have the wings being watched. And as Redgar picks up the kill onto Bone Cold, now they'll shift their focus towards this A site. The rotates that have come in are trying to hold them off, but they're taking a whole bunch of damage. CNED almost steps right into that shock dart. That could have been the end of him. And in fact, the end of him isn't far away. This is just a slaughter towards short, leaving 3 alive for Gambit. I think bare minimum has been achieved for ACEND. Disaster avoided.
Yeah, the problem is, though, as said, that financially they're still kind of in the bin this round because they went for some heavier investment on, at least on CNED, pulling in the rifles. So like it's not going to be a particularly good repurchase. In fact, it will be roughly the same as what we saw in the last round. So they've almost given away like 2 opportunities here, and instead, well, Zeke is going to have to play a Spectre, no shields. That is as selfless as it gets. Like, find yourself a teammate like Zeke who locks a Reyna and then still drops an op and plays with absolutely nothing. What a trooper.
Yeah,
I'm going to say they don't exist. I'm just telling you that now. Zeke's the only one.
Yeah, certainly not in matchmaking. That's for damn sure. But what I would say about Zeke, you know, ideal scenario here, he wants to just take a fight with a teammate, damage somebody and let them finish him off so he can heal up off it. But he doesn't have that choice anymore. Walled up, and now he's isolated on the B side. The rest of his team on the other side of the map. This has to be a huge hold from Zeke. He gives away his position right away, and that's a quick punish from Defo. ACEND lost control of B completely, and, well, unless Starzo's about to run through this, and they're going to have to play for a retake.
Gonna go through it with a Guardian. I'd say he's a madman, but you know what? They need something in this round, and I think this almost has to just fall into a save. Like, you've still got the Operator, all of the utilities there for Bone Cold. Starzo actually still has his wall as well, and other than CNED, they haven't actually lost any shields, so they basically have everything ready for a perfect save. But for Gambit, this is as good as it gets. They've faced 2 weak buys. They found openers onto the players that didn't really have too much in this round, like the players that didn't have the rifles, and then that basically just ends it. There's not really too much they can do. I think the issue as well, like if you look at the compositions, Gambit's almost plays into that defensive side. Like they've got themselves their well, I guess 2 Sentinels, but I'm only going to really go on the Cypher in this case, which allows basically Nats to just lock down one of the sides. For ACEND, they have to be a little bit more aggressive. You've got those duelists, you've got players that can get out of positions and find the openers, but as we've said before, Gambit love a default. Like in this round, they're a little bit more aggressive. They take some mid control, they battle for it, but the fact is they are more than happy to sit back and wait for players to push into them, so you're almost gambling on either Zeke or CNED hitting a worldy shot to start off the round, and well, they're facing no slouches in Gambit when it comes to this attacking default.
The punishment has definitely been there. The default working. You see the versatility of Gambit is clear on the defensive side, and the fact that their sapphiRe setups are changing so much, their positions on individual players, and indeed parts of the map they're holding are so different, but on the attack, they have very different approaches as well. This one has not worked out. A dash out of Defo right into the hands the site players. This is a good recovery though. One up close. Bone Cold needs to jump now, and oh, he can't get it done in time.
One enemy
They
remaining.
just hunt him down. The headshot not connected, leaving Starzo alone. 1 versus 2. Still winnable. Most certainly if he finds the first, but Shados deals with him far too quickly. 11-6. That was a very ambitious dash out of Defo. I'll say that. I didn't expect it.
Yeah, at the same time, honestly, I enjoy it. I like those sort of things because firstly, it's like the surprise factor of it, but also it just gives so much information over to the team. Like, it's going to look a little bit silly. It's going to look a little bit over aggressive, but we've seen it in the last couple of rounds. Like, he did the same thing coming out of market, dashing into a smoke, wrapping around behind the player and getting the kill. Like, he just makes so much space on this attacking side, and that's what he has to do. That's why if you ever see Defo have a bad game on this map, their attacking side is going to blow because they need him to have these openers. They need him to make the space for them. Now you kind of look at ACEND here. I would say that we're going to get their first full buy round, which, considering we've just seen 3 sort of mixed purchases, that's not the best statement in the world. But they're also now not going to have the operator either. So even then, we're not getting a proper full buy. ACEND have almost force bought or saved themselves out of this game, or at least out of a proper buy. So they've put themselves in a pretty bad spot. We're going to see them take attack pause, but at this stage, I don't know. I'd be quite surprised if Gambit were to let this one slip.
It's certainly unlikely. One hell of a streak needed by ACEND. This pause no doubt helps them settle themselves a little bit and figure out how they want to hold, but the problem is always going to be on that defensive side. It is very difficult to be in control of what's happening on the map. You're not the master of your own destiny. A lot of the time you're attempting to read your opponents, attempting to figure out what they're doing, and how ACEND would normally handle that is by playing that little bit more aggressive and treating the defense like their attack in these sticky situations. The problem is, against Gambit's aggressive default, that won't work. Redgar is in their spawn. He has full committed to that ultimate. That is incredibly rare to see. The majority of the time, this plays as just a recon dart. Bone Cold, great hold to start with. He's going to even paranoia. And then, oh, the shrouded step in the corner. Did they see him? Did they hear him? Were they still hit by the paranoia? It doesn't matter because he kills Shados and almost good for a third. That is such a good start for ACEND. Bone Cold doing work. They've caught Redgar up behind as well, and this round becomes so much easier to deal with in an ideal world, but a little bit of a hiccup as CNED goes down.
Yeah, an uncharacteristic whiff. It looked like he had the drop on his opponent. Stars are going to try and lock them in. This means if they want to go for a rotation, they'd have to go around the whole map. Instead, they're going to go pushing straight into Killer, so they expect him to be here. No, and it's only going to be the trades. ACEND, they bounce back. They'll even retrieve themselves the operator as well, get that back in the round for CNED. But at the same time, this has been the case for them. When they have managed to win rounds, I think back to CNED getting the ace, it was only 1 player alive. So financially, they've been in the bin throughout the entirety of this game. And guess what? Gambit still have money.
Of course. That economy riding high. That was such a good play by Bone Cold. Great paranoia catching the players. I'm not sure if they heard him or if the paranoia would have faded away by that point, but I think he got in the corner undetected and got the jump on them. Oh, look at this. Defo up in the pace again, but it's into a 3-man stack on the side, and Killaz is dealing with them. They haven't even spotted that CNED's up close. But now they have. The operator shot rung out. Blade Storm popped. I mean, they can slow it down now. Gambit have the choice to go back. Bone Cold is on the other side of this trap wire. Hasn't yet spotted it. They'll get close and then catch Chronicle. Gorgeous stuff. This guy, Bone Cold's been so instrumental in the last few rounds.
For sure. So I'm still surprised. I think Nat's got 2 kills just straight through smoke and like clipping a wall. So he's managed to make this round even competitive when it probably should have been over since they lost those initial duels. The boost over the wall, not really playing too much for them here. But they're still walking into a pretty deadly crossfire. The dash still available for CNED, so he can basically just get out of there. Instead, though, they're actually going to try and just make a bit of a play through. It hasn't worked out for them, though. Redgar already getting caught, and now they're putting it down to their clutch king to try and bring this back.
If there's anyone that can clutch this out on the server, it would be Nats with 30 seconds left, but the knife up close is more than enough to deal with him. That is going to be 11-8. And for Gambit, it's not looking too scary just yet. They still have a 3-round lead. This is their attack side. They control the pace, but it is starting to get towards that stage where you get a little bit worried, especially coming out of this round, Tom. Because if they lose this, it's 11-9, and their economy is spread very, very thin. We could easily see ACEND hit double digits, and from that point, the game really can swing either way.
Seems like, again, we're going to have a more of a battle now for CNED. Oh, a little bit of spice in there. I like it. You're expecting it to land in the same spot. Wow, you've been bamboozled. And they're actually going to force them back initially. Will they expect Zeke to still be here, though? Now, he was the one to shoot the dart that came through, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to expect him.
Oh, they've spotted Bone Cold backing off. They know the short control is theirs. Here's the paranoia going through, but he gets blinded up himself. A little bit of a trade there as he gets up close and deals with Defo. Gambit down by 2. A very important round for them to get on the board. Again, a loss here is going to probably put ACEND up to double digits. And the one player that could really help them out in the form of Shados, with that res that he has online, is already dead. Died over on short right at the start of the round, leaving them stuck in this 3 versus 5. And as they move towards B main, you know, they think they've got some good timing, but the reality is the wall is still up. And as it breaks, now ACEND will still come back and watch for that push. I mean, the timing has actually worked out pretty poorly for them.
Left.
Oh, even worse now as Killaz is coming into spawn. Oof.
They have a very good idea of this, just holding them back as much as humanly possible. And he even has a Hunter's Fury if they do somehow get themselves onto the site. I'm not even sure that this is necessarily worth it. Like, the 3 weapons they have might be better off holding onto. The push, risky, but the 1-for-1 trade is actually fine. They need to kill Starzo instantly, and they're just not going to be able to isolate him. In fact, he'll get both the remaining players. Beautiful hold from ACEND, and I have to say, over the last couple of rounds, they have had a lot of success in these early battles. As you mentioned, they had the stack up on the A side, solid read. They then had the aggression into middle, which wins them a lot of the duels. It's starting to fall apart a little bit on what was looking like another solid half for Gambit.
I do like the ratty play by Starzo at the end. I mean, we compliment their early round, but certainly in that late round, I was worried for a moment with Killaz just barreling forward, but it did almost make it look like they were playing a retake on B, and that was a last-ditch attempt to gather some information, making it a little bit less likely that Starzo was actually crouched behind that box on the side, and well, he managed to jump both of them. 11-9, exactly what we cautioned of. Gambit not having any cash comes into play. Pistols on 4, the lone rifle for Shados. This is going to be an exceptionally tough round. They have managed to see some control over middle and market. They're not committing to it, instead rotating back, hoping to catch the aggression out of Zeke, but he finds them instead.
And could just dismiss out of there without any problems at all. They've got the hero rifle onto Shados to at least try and make this one a little bit more costly. It's not like, again, he's farming up any ultimate orbs. He's had it for the last few rounds, just not found a position actually worth using it in. Smoke's even going to be falling to try and gain a little bit of extra space. The timing looked like it was actually going to work out, but never mind. Zeke through the smoke will help out CNED. And of course, with his dash available, he was able to escape. A flawless round coming through for ACEND. And while I was thinking it was unlikely that they'd be able to make this comeback, but now it's looking very, very scary for Gambit.
Yep, 11-6 down. They managed to fight all the way back up to double digits. And at this point, they've even had their moneymaker round, right? So even if Gambit find one, they're immediately going to be buying back up on the ACEND side. The chance to fight for overtime at a minimum is looking very good. And with the way the rounds have been going so far, Gambit have absolutely no answer for what ACEND are doing. And what ACEND are doing is switching up as well. Look at this short aggression out of CNED. The drone clears his left. He doesn't even need to look for now. Eventually, though, he's going to have to back off. I mean, solid for Gambit to not give him that opportunity and realize something was a little bit funky on middle.
Here.
Defo hoping that he could maybe find a little bit of extra space. I think he's realized that there are going to be a couple of players here. Nice shot onto Bone Cold, but do they still suspect Starzo in this corner? And we definitely pinged the wall at one point, but I think that was more just which they were actually deciding to break rather than anything else. CNED realizing that, okay, we've lost the man advantage. It's time for me to go wandering again. And if he can find a pick and back off, it's game on.
Your duty is not over.
And Dash still online means he's going to be pretty comfortable. Smoke going in. It's actually quite deep. He's going to play towards the A side. Wise choice. The steps being heard already. Hunter's Fury buying him a little bit of time to get into position. Cloudburst, though, that's a real thorn in the side. Defo's able to get towards the back of the site. CNET shuts down one. There's the push out of Killaz to secure Defo, who had gotten into the site, and now they're stuck behind the smoke. The spike down in the open, and all of Gambit's forces holding that choke point. Shados doesn't really have the opportunity. And what seemed like an incredibly unlikely scenario for Gambit to be in this tough of a position, for ACEND to make that comeback, becomes a reality. We're looking at 11-11, a tied-up scoreline, and Shados is attempting to save this rifle, but they are coming for him in force and shutting him down. No reward for him either in getting a kill there and dying, because he had his ult online already, and that just feeds ACEND a couple more ult orbs.
Yeah, he's had it for about 5 rounds, and yeah, as ACEND are in a spot now where financially they don't need to really worry too much about their economy unless they were going to lose every single one of their players. Like, you're looking at CNED with 8,700 credits going into this round, so it really, really doesn't matter that they lose a single player. They're 5 rounds in a row. As said, this was the map where I was looking at Gambit and saying, I want this to be a convincing victory if you were going to sort of challenge ACEND in the series, because I believe up next we've got Bind, which is a map that I don't think anyone's really been able to beat ACEND on throughout this tournament. They've been utterly fantastic on it. Like, you're looking at the victories, even versus Supermassive Blaze, 13-6 versus Gambit, 13-7, G2, 13-2, FPX, 13-4. If you lose your own map choice, I would say there's a very high potential that this is going to be a 2-0 start in a best-of-5 series. And then you head into, I think it's Breeze, which, I don't know, I put that as a hard 50-50.
Yeah, I'll roll the dice on that one for sure. At 11-11, Gambit, no surprise, calling a tactical timeout. They definitely have some stuff to discuss. They've had plenty of data gathering rounds and very little execution off the back of it. Every time they attempt something, there's always a spanner in the works from ACEND. They seem to be playing right into their hand. In fact, I would say a lot of the time they've been very unlucky with the sites that they choose, that ACEND seem to have their players at least 2 stacked towards it in the late round when they're in these like 3v3s and so on. The drone early doesn't spot the 2 players getting aggressive. My God, you can't anticipate that kind of a strat. You see one guy passive towards market, and it's the Sova who's normally here. So okay, fine, we know that we can get a little bit of control. The res finally comes in, and it will be secured this time. Nobody able to punish. I mean, that has been online since round 3 or 4. And no better time to deploy it.
Yeah, the problem is it just puts them right back in the spot they were in before, though. They've still got weaker weaponry than their opponents. They've got no ultimates that are really going to be too valuable in this round. And yeah, they've just had to use their wall to actually try and get themselves the res off in the first place. So they've managed to take some mid control, but you can see the adaptation from ACEND. They've now got aggression looking into B. They've got a deep spot over in Wine on the A site. They've also got short control. In other words, what I'm trying to tell you is Gambit have no map control other than mid.
Yes, they're in middle, holding the wings. Now, we found success here before. In one of the initial rounds where Gambit played the exact same strat and attempting to go for aggressive mid control, and Redgar was holding for the push. That was where we saw Starzo get shut down right at the start of a round. That dash right past Zeke. Good trade, good information early on. That allows the rotates to come in. Bone Cold tries to make a play, but fully blinded up. Nats is able to take him down. Gambit have a fire lit under them, and the A side is now theirs. Better late than never as they look for 12 rounds to regain the lead that they held for so long. Starzo, though, will shut down 2. Oh, not again. Surely they've actually gotten to a site for once. It's only the post plants that they need. And they still have CNED to deal with. That's the scary thing. Peeking on range is not going to be an option. Shados is by himself underneath and challenged by Sarzo, taken down. Nats needs a huge round to keep this alive. The spike being diffused as we speak. A Cam gonna spot out one, but as he peeks, there's the op. The shot missed. A rarity and an opportunity now. Nats needs to be quick on this. It's being diffused, but as he peeks, that player is baiting him out. The time running down, and Nats gets it. All 3 kills. It's 12-11. Gambit finally managed to get around on the board, but Tom, It was close, and it certainly didn't start out that way, which doesn't fill you with faith that they'll close this one out.
I got two things. One, that's one of the dirtiest cameras I've ever seen. He actually just put it basically on the spike. I don't know if I've seen someone do that before. Just like, oh, you want to try and do this? Well, the camera is inside you. It's just on top of you. Like, it's so disgusting. Second thing, what was Redguard doing when he tried to, like, TP into the middle of the site? Like, the man lost his mind. It was a 4 versus 2. Like, why was that the play? Like, did they think they were saving or something? I'm so confused as to what happened there, but yeah. Gambit have taken attack, and there are multiple reasons for this. One, they now have one opportunity to close this out after losing 5 rounds in a row. So, fair enough. Like, take attack pause. The other thing as well is 0 players survived. And that only benefits ACEND, because as you can see right now, Bone Cold's deciding what to buy because he has 9,000 credits.
Plenty of cash for sure. Well, the tactical timeout comes to an end, so we'll have a solution to Bone Cold's buying problems. It would love a little load and bought up, wouldn't you? You'd love to see it.
No, you'd love to see it. No one else really cares that much.
Yeah, there's at least 2 or 3 people that would love to see it as well.
He's also... It says he spent 9,000, so I want to know what he's dropped on the... Has he dropped another operator? It looks like he has. Yeah, Stars has actually got one into this round as well, so there's been a few weapons juggled around to try and just give them the best opportunity. CNED.
Why is he here? If he gets a kill here, Gambit can't even... They can't even justify how... Like, there's no way. There's no way he should be here. They're even being cautious of it. This is what it's like to play against CNED. You take it for granted that he can be absolutely anywhere. And he still gets a kill out of it. Still alive. No dash. He's trying to get away. And Chronicle manages to shut him down. Defo continues. But Starzo is here, holding from the side with the second operator. Plenty of cash on Bone Cold allowed for this. Gambit falling apart at the seams here on the mid control. ACEND just crunching in, completely starving them of oxygen. That spike left down outside of B, and they have no option to really get near it for now. They have to try and fight for some sort of map control. Zeke. That's the round confirmed, isn't it? 1 versus 4. Redgar can maybe go for from the shadows to B side or something, but oh, he's got A. No. That's unlucky.
Uh-oh. Well, he's seen him. But I guess it came down to the Battle of the Omens. It will be heading into OT. I think, honestly, with the comeback we've seen from ACEND, it's more than deserved. But it is just that battle and brawl for mid that almost... I want to say, half the plays that I see, I'm just like, that is disrespectful. Like, just to waltz down mid, go on a little stroll through. And then just moments later, Zeke goes, there's a smoke here. I'm going to push through it. Probably get a kill, and then just dismiss back out of there again. It's why we wanted to see him back on the duelist. It's why we like seeing the Reyna for this ACEND squad, because they're just so good at just utilizing those abilities of getting a kill and getting away. I think they might be better than anyone else in the entirety of EMEA at just doing that. Just finding those picks, getting away, and then just having the other team sat there red face going, well, what was I meant to do?
Well, what are Gambit meant to do when they go back to the attack side? I mean, they have to win this round. If they want to be closing out this map, it's looking unlikely that their attack round will go their way. Defo falls right away. ACEND with the same old trick we've seen from them before. A player crosses to the left side here. Shados tucked in the corner. This could be an opportunity, but they're ready for it. It doesn't matter. He still manages to walk away with 3. A huge turn up for Shados, who now has a res online, and he'll be getting his teammate right back into this fight. 4v1. Killaz, not a chance. As we go 13-12. One more chance for Gambit to close it out here on their attack side. And while that started terribly, I think ACEND had a great read on how to play that over towards the short control, but wow, you can't account for that kind of brilliance from Shados.
I feel like that's one of those, like, Doctor Strange moments where he's like, there's like 1 in 3 billion chance of him getting away with 3 kills there. Yep. We need to try and hit that 1. It's like, how? They're even breaking the wall because they think there could be someone in this corner. I think it's literally because Zeke has to reload. So he goes back into the corner. The other players aren't ready for the wall to be broken. And honestly, I think that comes down to just a little bit of miscommunication coming out from ACEND. Otherwise, I think 2 there was impressive. 3 there was impossible.
Pretty much, yeah. And I think for ACEND as well, it's a bit of a demotivating battle to lose. We've got a bunch of opportunities for Gambit to win attack rounds, and they haven't been able to connect them again and again, slipping up on this attack side. And a lot of it has been based around that mid control that they've attempted. Every time they go out there, it's either CNED getting aggressive down middle and opping them, or Zeke going in through the smoke and taking a couple of kills, bailing out. Now, it seems like they're going to shift their focus a little bit with 3 players outside A at the start, but still wanting to play a bit for that mid control. Cypher and Sova looking to bait them out into thinking it's the same old, same old.
I'm going to see the TP across. That will have been heard by Bone Cold. It's looking like somewhat of an all-in take. 3 players looking to try and battle for control, but Zeke doesn't even need to dismiss. He's going to try and heal up a little bit, but not really getting anything for it. And again, it's going to be the defense that get off to a flying start. And this is just what they're so good at, finding those openers and putting Gambit in a spot where they have to try and recover.
That's lurking up through short. Maybe he can do something here. There's 2 players, though. That's the problem. Bone Cold here to support Zeke and take the trade afterwards. A minute left on the clock. Gambit don't have to make a move just yet, and they're wisely still spread out, playing the B side a little bit, putting the wall there, the recon as well, revealing that there's no one inside of B main. That's going to drag a rotate from ACEND as they move back to support the B site. Now's the time to strike for Gambit. They still haven't sold that much of a fake, though. A solid 3-man hold for ACEND. That double short play still in effect, and as noise is now made inside of main, Nats chooses his time to strike. He's coming up behind as we speak. The sprays, as these players are so focused, they don't know that Nats is here, and he gets him. What was that on the Zeke? He spray transfers it into a smoke and headshots him as well. Ridiculous play from Nats, and that gives Gambit the chance. A 3v3 as they hold on to the site now. Redgar going in the smoke falls. They need a big play to come out, and Shados falls. Chronicle all alone. 2 players left to drop, and he can't get it done this time. It will be another overtime as ACEND just about battle back into the A site.
It's just big play after big play. It's almost coming down to like who's the bigger balls and who's going to win this map. Like absolutely ridiculous. I will admit I'm seeing a lot of like new Nats fanboys, and as a Nats hipster, it is starting to like trigger me a little bit. Like, God, I was a fan of Nats before it was cool. I know that Mitch is going to say that if the Odin ever comes into fashion. Like if people are playing that all the time, you're gonna be like, you're only just picking up the Odin. I was doing it since day 1.
Yep. we got me, Coldamento, we got Strong Legs in there, Chronicles, like the Odin crew.
Shadows.
Everyone else be laughing, but someday, Tom, I'm telling you, they're gonna realize we're into OT number 2. Gambit. Again, on that defensive side, they found a lot of success here. You see the adaptation of not playing that operator on Defo and short this time. It's just not had the success whenever they take that short play, but it's an adaptation from ACEND as well. They're not going for the same old strat. They're starting to move towards B main. 4 players stacked up there, and it's only Zeke floating around, oddly enough, with the spike. I don't think that's intentional entirely. He's just watching for any sort of mid play, making sure they don't get aggressive and push down. Really gambling on the fact that Gambit will take an aggressive stance themselves. Little do they know, this is probably one of the most patient teams in the world.
Yeah, it is a complete clash of styles when it comes to this defense. Like, ACEND are looking to try and battle and brawl for every piece of map control, and Gambit have almost gone, have it. Take it.
They're playing the tower defense game.
Yeah, you're going to have to give us back. Well, you're going to have to take the sight off us eventually. And by that point, you will have almost run out of time. Paranoia, again, going to slow them down. And although there is only one man defending it, it is this setup once again. They're going to have to try and walk through the cages. They use the wall to try and give them an elevated spot. Nat's still just surviving in the back and almost buying time. Shados has already found a kill, but they still haven't cleared him. He hasn't actually moved yet. Finally, he'll be spotted. But again, there's just so many players here at this point. They just can't shut him down. 3 kills from the back for Nats, and any site he's on is just locked.
All right, so we've done many different things before. We've broken down rounds, we've broken down games. I honestly want to watch an entire VOD from Nats' perspective Just
Give us, please.
First of
Ryan,
all,
please,
the
give us
patience.
POVs.
The patience from this man is off the charts. He is able to hold that back sight while he's being pressured by like 4 different players, and he's like, no, it's good. I don't need to peek yet. His target selection and his decision making on when to take a fight is so on point, and we saw that on the short play on their last attack side when he managed to sneak up behind them. And the whole time, even as I can see the enemies, I'm thinking, okay, Nats, go now, go now, go now. And he's so patient. He's just sitting there waiting, and as soon as they fake out A main control, that's when he goes out. Same on the backside there. He waits for Shados to come in and take a fight to catch their eye just for a second. That's when he takes a fight. Everything about it is so damn good. Bone Cold's going to be caught. Shados was watching it and watching him waiting. Now Gambit have almost faked out a little bit of A control, like they're moving towards that side of the map, but they're actually shifting slowly back towards that spike. And then back towards A. Okay, it's going to be presence across the map made by these guys, and even now they don't have to commit towards the side.
Well, I think Nats as well has heard someone like clip into the cage, so he's almost just had to play some utility down to try and make sure that they know if they're pushing behind. The fact is, though, ACEND have actually full rotated in. There'll be 4 players ready and waiting on this A site. Trades coming back thick and fast, but it's a missed shot onto Zeke, an opportunity for Defo to find something here, and instead he falls to CNED. It's left to Shados, who's going to find 2 quick kills. The plant is going to be stuck. He has his res available. Starzo had an opportunity to pick him off. Instead, he'll bring back Defo. The P comes in, and he'll get both kills. It's going to go level once again. He's got to go and defuse. Can't be too patient in his play. In fact, even just going to have a little bit of a celebratory res. But dear Lord, these rounds are going back and forth.
Yeah, this is certainly not a clean win in either of the rounds. In either of the OTs, but that's fine. That's completely fine by me. If these guys want to keep on putting out insane individual plays, yeah, keep it going, keep it rolling all day long. I'm here to see it. Another tactical timeout going to be deployed. This time it's ACEND that do it, but I'm sure Gambit are going to be equally happy to take a breather after that one. Such a close attempt by Shados, and he does so well. If Starzo pushes out slightly less, if he takes 0.1 of a second longer to peek, Shados would have had his weapon deployed, and that could have been a very favorable fight. And there are other ways that could have been played in actually baiting out the res and everything, but at the same time, you can't really fault Shados in that situation.
He could have been anywhere as well. That's
exactly,
the other thing.
yeah.
Like, he could have been pushing in all the way around from spawn. He could have been pushing in from heaven. Like, we're looking at it from, like, we know exactly where Starzo is. The fact is, Shados actually had a really good read. Like, he looked directly where he'd just thrown a slow, which realistically is not necessarily your first point of call. So it's just minuscule, like 0.1 of a second, and I reckon they win that round. Because that's the other thing as well. If Starzo doesn't push that slow, they get the res off as well, and then it's a 2v1.
Or even target selection for Starzo. If he focuses on the res, if he takes that kill, he gets traded instantly. But there's so many ways that can go wrong for ACEND. And considering it was a 3v1, damn good attempt. We come out of the pause. Gambit are ready to roll, and I'm looking at Chronicle, and I got a big smile on my face, but it doesn't look like he's going to have an opportunity, at least on the initial fight, to use that Odin, as ACEND are focusing on B this time.
Or A, as some people would call it.
Or A, sorry, yeah.
There's only going to be one defender, though, Mitch. Already, they're going to walk into the first trip, trying to find him within the cages, but instead they find Defo, and Nats is still surviving. He's still alive. He's so annoying. Finally, they kill him off, but it's already a 2 versus 1. Oh, God. Can Killers now pull off the clutch that they need? He's wary of a player pushing him from behind. And actually, with the amount of time left, he doesn't actually need to go for any sort of plant.
They didn't see his head? They didn't notice as he walks on by, now making his way behind in heaven, but they're still being suspicious of it. And the best part about that, Gambit are willing to concede the site control. They'll give up anything. All they want to do is play that together and make sure that they trade out on whatever fight they eventually end up taking. I noticed CNED, as soon as he gets tagged up by that trap wire, he hits the dash. Force a habit, I guess, from back in the days when that would actually break it. And instead, he just ends up slingshotting around the place and eventually being taken down. Yeah, and that's his utility. It really, that guy didn't lost this game. He's so good. But it's exceptional as well. It's not like
Yes,
it's good
of course.
Cypher play. It's ridiculous Cypher play.
I will say I would love to see him play against Dapper. I think that could be
Yes, please.
incredible display. Either way, we're going to have this fast push in. That's quite a lot of ground that's been garnered initially, but I guess it doesn't matter. 2 kills coming through. Killers gets tagged but instantly healed back up. Bone Cold just holding on to any sort of flank, and if they want to keep... Well, I don't think they should want to keep pushing this. There's so many players on the other side. Killers, that was a little bit audacious. This could come back to haunt them, but now the flank's coming through. Chronicle would have to turn around, and unfortunately, he's not quite fast enough. 15-15. What was the record?
Switching sides.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves here, Tom. Okay, slow it down.
Map 1 of 5, you know, I'm ready. I'm in for the long haul. I got nothing else to do today.
Yeah, we were having
Started
this
a little bit
conversation
earlier
yesterday.
because we knew this series.
We started this conversation yesterday in a couple of different areas. We did it a few times, and it was around people asking, will teams actually try? You know, it's they're already in Berlin, so you know, are they just gonna mess around? Well, I hope they're watching this game,
Yeah.
realizing that they're absolutely giving it their all. Defo, a little bit slower on throwing that cloud burst this time. He looked at it. He's like, is this gonna bounce? Okay, it's not. Cool. Just to make sure. Great opening pick by Shados as well. Like, insane aggression. Considering this is that's something Ascend have done a bunch of times, right? They've put that wall down, but they haven't played on top of it. And you don't expect it at this critical stage of the game.
That's just gonna come through. Already, look at the push coming through from behind though. Defo, he's gonna manage to get 2 off the back of it. CNED will finally put him in the grave. But again, it's just gonna be left to this man. So much space taken by Defo this time, and oh, it's 16-15. How many opportunities are Gambit gonna get? This is their map choice. This is the map out of all of them that we expected them to win, but now being fought tooth and nail. And well, let's be real, so far it has been all defensive side play. Like, just look at this scoreboard. Look how stupid this scoreboard looks.
Up and down and up and down. Yeah, back and forth, bit of ping pong. We love it. 16-15. Defensive side plays have been there, as you said, but now it's Ascend's turn to put up the numbers yet again, and they have had a couple of errors, a couple of chances for Gambit to really get into it. You're going to see the same play towards the A site this time, but 4 players, not quite as centered around stopping mid pushes, and that's when CNED starts to push down middle. As Zeke, Bone Cold, he's whiffed it. The one saving grace could be CNED. The operator manages to shut down Redgar. He had pushed short in the early round, found nothing, and then goes back. Ascend are evened up, as they will look for a retake. The spike hasn't yet been picked up, and that door is going to be broken. Spike's still cleanly within their sights. Defo has to make a play. The distraction's coming in, trying to buy him a little bit of room to get up on top. He's watching over towards the door. Great headshot, but on 10 HP, Starzo survives. Another connection onto Nats, and Chronicle won't last long either. A great round from CNED to get us, you guessed it, another overtime.
Overtime.
Will we get to double digits in the 2s? That's the real question that's on everybody's mind.
God damn it.
What? Isn't that, I thought that was officially called.
Oh yeah. Very commonly called. I've heard the phrase many times over the years.
You know, but it's like commentators get to name things. Like we've seen Pansy come out with Madonna, like that was something, and then you get to name what 2020 is called, which is double digits in the 2s. For anybody who wasn't there the other day, Mitch had a bit of a meltdown when we got quite far into the game, and we're getting there now. Actually,
we are. We're on our way towards double digits in the 2s. Well, it's going to be a push out of Ascend towards the B site, but not too successful to start with. Zeke manages to pull it back. Chronicle.
oh my god.
The wall is broken, so he can technically make it through there and start to really pressure them. You can see the sprays coming his way. Nats on the backside grabs the tag. There's a headshot, but no kill off it. Surviving on 10 HP yet again.
Spike planted.
CNED. I mean, he won't be healed up, but he'll be thankful to just be alive at this point.
Dust.
Oh, the timing. He was actually on the reload there, still getting back out. The animation to be able to take a shot. The shock dart not quite going to connect. It could have removed CNED from action, but instead he will be alive and kicking. A couple of players, in fact, both on 10 HP. The spam through the wall, the paranoia going to try and leave them blind, and Defo has taken so much space already, finding that first pick. He gets tagged as well. It's left all on to Killers. He doesn't have many bullets left to even play with, and they're just going to start sticking the defuse. They have to, but did he actually deny? I think he did. Is there going to be enough time? I'm not sure there's enough on the clock for them to actually get this through. It's so close. It's 0.2. That was almost enough from Killers. An incredible attempt. But it's still Gambit to win their defensive round, even by, just absolutely nothing. That is ridiculous.
All right, let's give it to Gambit. Now, they said that when Shados pops off, they win games, and he is currently pound for pound with CNED, who's having an absolutely incredible performance on that operator. He's been dominating, especially on that defensive side. How we saw it just to bring them into this OT. He managed to find a 3K in the previous when they were in a 3v4. Instrumental to ACEND's success and internationally known. But Shados needs to go on that list pretty damn soon. Himself, Nats, Defo, Chronicler, Edgar, every single one of these guys could be generational players. It's such a good team. It's such a good set of teams indeed between these two. Gambit once again trying to close this out on their attack side. They'll look to pressure the mid control as Bone Cold is spotted out. Paranoia to let him exit, even a Lear just to guarantee it. A smoke as well. They are even gonna Shrouded step out of there, making damn sure that he isn't getting pushed down. But that's a lot of utility burnt up over on the Ascend side.
And the amount that they've seen, it looked like they were going to actually try and challenge through the smoke in mid. There is currently a Sage wall ready. CNED try to be a little bit cheeky. It's the standoff. Watching the trip. They're expecting this aggression to be there somewhere. And actually, that's preemptively. He's going to spot out CNED. He's going to have to fall all the way back and give up that control. The problem is we're now getting down to the 40-second mark. And this is where a decision has to be made. I'm still looking at the current position of Bone Cold. This is something he's played so many times before. He gets the timing right. How does Redgar get two? They were playing a bait and switch to give the kill over. This is Gambit's best chance.
Absolutely, yeah. 3v5, sure, a couple of players are low. In fact, the heal can even come in, but not onto Redgar.
No.
CNED saved them many times before, and he'll look to do it again. The dash is not online. This is an ambitious peek out of CNED as he loses one of his teammates. Starzo might be soon to follow. Luckily, just about staying alive. CNED on top. Such a hard fight to take with the op. If Starzo goes down, this round could be over. But if he finds this kill on the Nats, it's instrumental. And there it is. 2 versus 2. Both players down below. Oh, the shot's not going to connect. Starzo has to get them both. They're running out together. And he'll only get the first. 18-16 we go. Gambit just about get it across the line. What an incredibly tight start to this best of 5. And let's hope that's a sign of what's to come. Wow.
That was map 1. We have the potential of 5 map. We're going to be here until tomorrow. And you know what? I'm absolutely okay with that. Because luckily then it just rolls over and Pansy and Hypop will just take this straight into the next match. A ridiculous first map to kick things off. Truly phenomenal one. And honestly, I'm so excited to go into Bind now because I was expecting this to be a solid map for Gambit. One that they win at least cleanly. That was anything but clean, but it was one hell of a spectacle.
Yeah, let's keep the OTs rolling is all I can say. I'm here all day for that. 18-16. What a game. What a way to start this one out. And Tom, you know, we saw everything that we wanted to. We saw CNED's operator. We saw Nats on those nasty lurk plays. Shados. I mean, he was putting in a lot of work, and no doubt they're going to want a little bit of a break. And you know what? I think we'll take one too. We're going to throw things to a break now. We've also got a little surprise for you in the form of our featured song. It's going to be Paper Planes by Lucas and Steve with Tungavag. Enjoy.